Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies, Arrowhead Allies.
And what we thought was going to be just a nice, simple Christmas gathering of friends, and yet here we are now. Solomon Wilcots is joining us as we speak. And Solomon, welcome to the show. I don't know if you're still endorsing composure, but I sure the hell hope you brought me a doctor's note today, buddy.
Yeah, we could all use a little composure. There's no doubt about it.
I'm out of my last prescription of it that we got at the Super Bowl, so I hope we see you in Vegas because I need some more.
We'll be there. We'll see you there, okay?
Hey, you know, Solomon, when you see the Kansas City Chiefs struggle like this, you know, many people had the Chiefs repeating as world champions, and it's easy to do that when you got a quarterback and a head coach tandem of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. When you watch them play, you know, they're 9-6. We've just seen them play 15 weeks of inconsistent football. And after yesterday's performance, when you see a team that doesn't look focused or coached or prepared, what does that tell you about the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward, not only this Sunday against Cincinnati, but playoffs if there's even a chance? What does that tell you about the team, Solomon?
It tells you that there are some areas in decline. It tells you that there are some areas that are not executing up to the standard and the levels that we were accustomed to seeing at least over the last 5 seasons. And we tend to have, I think, take a lot for granted when we have a sort of a Superman who wears an S on his chest and a cape at the quarterback position. We kind of look at it like we do when we go to the movies and we go to the theater. We think that guy, the quarterback, is like the leading man in a film who's always going to win the day. And we forget that it's a team game, guys. We forget that the quarterback needs everybody else's help to do his job. And if you've got those other areas taken care of, now the quarterback can help elevate the team. But if you don't have those bases covered, there's going to be holes if you're dropping passes, if you can't protect your quarterback, if you don't have a run game that all of a sudden disappeared from Kansas City, the offense is going to struggle and hit some all-time lows like what we're seeing currently.
Yeah, and Solomon, that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, because we see the receivers, what they had last year. They're kind of only missing Juju from that group. They added Rashee Rice, a rookie who's really coming on. But you see kind of the downfield passing game isn't working. They're just kind of not in rhythm. Patrick Mahomes is struggling. You saw it yesterday with the interception, with the fumble on the trick play. Just what do you make from just kind of only missing Juju, but this offense just looks so stalled and off? They gave Jawan Taylor the $80 million, and he's not working out, the most penalized player in the NFL.
Well, yeah, you're missing your 2 offensive tackles last year. So your ability to protect the quarterback and generate a run game. Orlando Brown Jr. is an excellent run blocking offensive tackle, right? And that's what they've been able to do. I remember when Eric Bieniemy, and I have to offer this disclaimer because he's a young man that, you know, I'm very close to, helped to recruit him at the University of Colorado. It's already well known. But I know what kind of young man he is, and I know what kind of player he was, and I know what kind of coach he is. He's a guy that breathes this fire. He's like that professor you had in college, the one you hated the most because they rode you the hardest. But at the end, you end up being more thankful to him for caring enough to kick you in the butt when you needed it, right? And ultimately was a difference maker in how you turned out. And I do think there had maybe been some exhaustion, the players and everyone, because Eric stayed on these guys. Who's doing that now? Where is that in the building? Because at the end of the day, Andy Reid he's the guy up above. It's a good cop, bad cop scenario, and Andy's the guy, and he'll get on you. But, he is the mastermind that puts it all together. But he needs boots on the ground. He needs generals on the ground who are going to be demanding so that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to start yelling and screaming. And more has been placed on Patrick Mahomes than, let's face it, than what should be. Because quarterbacks aren't enforcer. Quarterbacks can't go through the locker room and make the other 52 guys and demand excellence from them if it's not being demanded at the highest level. How many of you guys can go to your coworker, lateral move, and start jumping on them and yelling at them and think it's really going to make a difference? That's got to come from top down. And so I think we're starting to see some pieces get out of order because those are acts of desperation, because they're missing more than just pieces on the field. They're missing some overall pieces.
We're speaking with former CBS color commentator Solomon Wilcots, one of my favorites of all time. We got to know you a little bit at the Super Bowl last year in Phoenix, and I made the joke about the composure as that you've a wonderful product that you're affiliated with. And boy, I need some, Solomon, because it seems to me like here in Kansas City anyway, that the walls are closing in a bit. The Chiefs have kind of become that villain out there that everybody is loving to see this fall that's going on. Mahomes is losing it on the sidelines. Travis Kelce's throwing his helmet. We've had the Taylor Swift thing going on all year. This Chiefs team spent all offseason on Saturday Night Live and in commercials on Jimmy Fallon and at golf tournaments. I mean, does it just feel like that the wheels are coming off and that the distractions and the hunger from winning at the high level that they have is sort of at the root of some of this?
William Shakespeare once wrote, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown." These are the problems that comes with being successful perennially. When you've gone to 5 straight AFC championship games, when you've won 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls, when you've won 7 straight AFC West division titles, you are no longer the hunter, you're the hunted, right? and that carries a certain responsibility. It carries a certain weight. And when in the days of free agency, where you can't keep the guys that help you climb that mountain, you've got guys coming in the door who, the mountain's been climbed, you're at the mountaintop. When they arrive, they don't know what it took to get there. Maybe they're taking it for granted of what's required to catch 100 balls a day. They don't understand what it's like to come in early and leave late and make sure that catching the ball, the rudimentary things of what we do, gets done automatically, whether it's pass protection, whether it's the run game, whether it's pass completion, whether it's coverage on the back end. It's about the fundamentals, whether it's learning how to just line up without being offsides, right?
Ooh.
And those, you take care of the small things, the big things take care of themselves. Andy Reid knows that. Many of the coaches in that building know that. But there is a disconnect, and you can't get back to winning at the level that we've seen, at least over the last 5 years, until you can take care of those things, and those ordinary things become very automatic for you.
Brian B. Shinan, welcome in, buddy. You're on with Solomon Wilcots, and we were, just talking about fun things, Christmas, and did everybody have a great one?
Look, my Lakers lost to the Celtics. My Chiefs lost to the both of the rivals win against my team. Listen, my Christmas was trash. You all know that. But
that's why Solomon's here. Solomon's here to
help. Man, Solomon Wilcots, thank you for joining us right here on Arrowhead Allies. A pleasure to be with you. Look, man, it seems like it seems easy fix yesterday. All the Raiders were doing was playing coverage. They rushed no more than 3 to 4 guys on, it seemed like, every single play. So I'm like, man, run the ball. That's why Patrick Mahomes had 10 attempts. But is it easy? Is it that easy of a fix in game to adjust to the Raiders playing 3 coverage, 4 coverage, 2 coverage in game while it's going on?
Yeah, but you have to be committed, right? The run game is not something that happens in a moment. It's an accumulative effect. For instance, I don't know if you guys many of you guys have, the best tools money can buy. So you probably have a chainsaw. I was a kid and we used to go out and chop wood with an axe. And if you ever chop down a tree, you remember it don't come down with the first blow. It doesn't come down with the second blow, not even the third or the fourth. There's a time when you're wondering if it ever is going to come down. And then all of a sudden, you strike it and, you feel the tree weakening. And next thing you know, it's coming down. That's what running the football is like in the NFL. You've got to be committed when you take the first whack. You got to be committed early so that you can rack up the accumulation of hits, rushing attempts, where they begin to crack and where you now begin to see. That's what the running game is. It'd be great if you can hit the first one good and now you generate some momentum. But typically in our league, it's an accumulative effect. I go back to 2017, and I remember the Chiefs were playing in a playoff game against the Tennessee Titans. You have the league's leading rusher in Kareem Hunt, and he don't touch the ball the entire second half, and you lose in the first round to the Tennessee Titans. Yep. Eric Bieniemy was named the offensive coordinator that offseason. I said, your job is to never, and I mean ever, let the Chiefs get away from running the football. As long as you're there, don't you let it happen on your watch. And he didn't. And that's how you go to 5 straight AFC title games, because he would never let them get away from the run game. It's happening now. Now, I'm not saying that all of this is due to the absence of Eric Bieniemy, but it ain't a zero, guys. It ain't a nothing burger, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So pay attention. Just pay attention. There are some missing things. And you've got the great head coach, but even great coaches need good lieutenants. They need good generals. They need boots on the ground, making sure that the small things are getting done every single day. One thing, you may not like the guy, but he got your attention. You had to respect him, and you did what he told you to do, whether you liked it or not. That way, when game time showed up, it got done, didn't it? So all the stuff that leaks out, he's hard on the player. Well, sometimes players need him to be hard on. Right? The Washington Commanders, that was leaking out, right? I know this, Sam Howell's playing better than he ever has. The offense playing better than they ever have, right? Not a miracle worker, but he's going to get more out of you than you would give on your own.
Michael, welcome in. You're on with Solomon Wilcots, our guest here today.
So, Solomon, the Chiefs match up with the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. They're coming off of a loss. Just what are the positives that you're seeing since the injury of losing Joe Burrow? And what will be the challenges for them against the Chiefs this Sunday?
Well, it's a huge challenge, right? The positives I've seen is they went on a 3-game winning streak, beating some really good football teams. All of those teams that they won against, the Jacksonville Jaguars were in first place at the time, and they played them in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts were tied for first place in the AFC South. The Minnesota Vikings were knocking on the door, are already in playoff contention with a playoff seed when they took the field against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals fell behind in that game and came back from 14 points down. They ended up scoring 24 points in the final quarter and overtime to win that game. Now, what that tells me is that this is a team with a lot of character. They've lost some players due to free agency, just like the Chiefs have. But imagine the Chiefs going out there without a Patrick Mahomes, and with those losses, the things that you guys have been talking about today on the show. That's when you find out who you really are. And I think the Bengals have found out that they've got some good players who are young in critical areas, but these are the growing pains that you go through. And I think sometimes you tend to recede and take a step back in order to get that growth that you want. You remember what it was like when the Chiefs had already won their first Super Bowl, or the second, I should say, after beating the 49ers. And then they came back and played Tampa. And the offensive line going into that season, or at least we knew it was a liability. But you had to go through that in order to go back into the draft to replenish that line, then end up winning another Super Bowl. You see? So there's ebbs and flows. I think if you go back and look at the 20-year dynasty that the Patriots had with Tom Brady, they didn't go to the Super Bowl every year despite having the greatest of them all. And I would just encourage Chief fans to understand that. That just because you have the greatest quarterback don't mean you have the best team. Just because you have the best quarterback doesn't mean you're going to win every game. Doesn't mean you're going to go to every Super Bowl and win every single one of them. Tom Brady went to 10, right? And he won 6. Went to 10 in New England and won 6, right? So, I mean, we just you got to understand that and just do the best you can to put the best team around Pat Mahomes, and he's going to deliver. This guy is the real deal now. He's the real deal. He's a competitor. Hey, look, I would love for you to have kept Tyreek here. I'd love for you to have kept a lot of these pieces.
Yeah.
Today's economics is tough. That's what the Bengals are dealing with. They've had to lose Jesse Bates and Von Bell, who did a good job in games against the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys know that. But they're not there anymore. So they're going through some of the growing pains. T. Higgins is a guy that every time that Jamar Chase doesn't play, T. Higgins gives you a game to write about.
Yeah.
I mean, every single one of them. He gives you the game that lets you know who he is. And that guy, I'm telling you now, they got to find a way to keep both of those guys. Again, with today's economics, highly improbable, right? But you're going to have to find a way to continue to build and rebuild. There's going to be ebbs and flows along the way. But now we know why the Green Bay Packers in 30 years only won 2 Super Bowls with 2 of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game over a 30-year period, right? So you can have quarterback. I think Pittsburgh Steelers have Ben Roethlisberger for 18 years. They won. So just because you have that great quarterback does not guarantee you're going to win it every year. All you can do is hope to be in the race and then give it your best shot when you get into the tournament.
You know, Solomon, you talked at the very beginning about knowing Eric Bieniemy and considering him as a friend. You know, the past, let's be honest, brutally honest, the last 4 years, he has had substantial job interviews that he's never got the gig because he's always been looked at as, well, it was really Andy Reid. It's not about you. Now Chiefs Kingdom is seeing that he is seriously missed. You know, you look at Pro Football Focus, what they tweeted out 2 hours ago, hypothetically, they said the Washington Commanders could clean house and Bieniemy could be fired and he could possibly be brought back to the Chiefs staff if all that hypothetical comes into fruition. You know, when you look at Bieniemy and you look at how many times that he's been overlooked, do you think now that he has missed so much for Kansas City that he would come back next year as an offensive coordinator, or hypothetically, like Pro Football Focus is saying, in January if all the planets line up?
First of all, can't you see Andy Reid saying, you know what, Eric, we need you? Okay. I can see that. I can see that. Now, that's no knock against Matt Nagy. This is not really directed or pointed at him. It's just, we're just talking about the obvious elephant that's in the room, right?
Yeah.
And so now I do know that Eric absolutely loves Andy Reid, absolutely respects him, as we both do. And I've always talked to him about Andy is the best thing that ever happened to you. Lean into that. You're going to learn more about football, any coach, anywhere. But the more time you spend with him, you get to learn more than these other guys who had a cup of coffee with him and then went off and got a job. So let's just stay in there. And he always did. He always was patient. He never panicked because he knew he had one of the best coaches you could ever be around and one of the best quarterbacks you could ever be around. His 5 years as an offensive coordinator was like being in the Garden of Eden. You see, so he understood that. And if someone ever asked you to come back to the Garden, wouldn't you come if that opportunity was presented? So look, I don't claim to speak for him. I've not talked to him. I don't know what he would do. He needs some time to exhale because he put everything into everything he does. And he put everything into this job at the Washington Commanders. I would say he fulfilled his mission because he will have left it better than he found it. That's all any of us can do. I do know this. If he's invited back into that room and was given the authority to do what he does, there's going to be some players say, hey, guys, it's a new day. The veteran guys are going to be telling the young guys, it's a new day around here, bro. Hey, line up off sides if you want to, but and guess what? It takes it off Pat Mahomes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes just get to do his job, which is what he really should do anyway. He should not have to go out and enforce or have to yell at guys. his job is so big and it requires so much in terms of the focus and his abilities and his talents, that he should not have to be yelling at guys about getting lined up. And you can see with the officials week after week, it's starting to grate, it's starting to wear on him, right? Because he's giving everything he's got, and he's trying to figure out, okay, what more can I give? And that's where coaches come into play. That's where leadership comes into play at the next level, that the players will be held accountable at a much higher level than Patrick Mahomes. So I think it would help. I think it would make a difference. And I do believe this. If that happened, the Kansas City Chiefs would be a much better football team. You are not going to see this point production drop to what it's become. You're not going to see the turnovers mount. You're not going to see the lack of attention to detail. That's what you're not going to see. Those things go away.
Yeah, and speaking on that, we've seen kind of Dan Orlovsky and guys, some analysts go through and look at the receivers and how they're not reading coverages the same as Patrick is post-snap. They might be given a post in the play call, but then there's a middle safety right in that hole, and they're running right to it, and Mahomes is throwing them on a go where it's wide open. They should take that. So when a quarterback is losing trust in his receivers to read the defense the same way he's doing it and being where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, how difficult does that make it on the quarterback? And you see Mahomes kind of second guessing, not really firing into throws. He's kind of laying it out there, tossing it, trying to guess. Are they going to be where I expect them to be? How difficult does that make that on him and this offense?
It's tough on everybody. It's tough on those guys too, because listen, they are being, some of them are young, like a Sky Moore, right? And Kadarius Toney hadn't played a whole lot, even when he was with the Giants, missed a lot of time even last year. So it missed a lot of time in training camp, right? And so as he's trying to adjust and trying to grow, and the quarterback's trying to adjust and trying to grow, and it's misfires in practice, misfires in games, and now the turnovers are going up, the explosive plays are coming down. And by this time of year, you should be clicking. These things should not even be a problem any longer. And we know it's not the quarterback, because we've seen he has a large enough body of work where you know you can give him the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't seem to have that problem with Travis. And so it's the other guys, and it's taken way too long. There's no doubt. And really, at the end of the day, listen, I think even Brett Veach quietly, when this is all over, he and Andy are going to have a talk. You know what? We bet on some guys and we lost. Last year, we bet on some guys and we won, right? They bet on guys in the secondary last year, youthful guys, and they won. And those guys, I think, still are playing well, by the way. They're developing and growing. We're really just talking about the wide receiver room, unfortunately. But listen, the ad-lib stuff, it's off script. And when it's working, you develop this consistency of what we're going to do in these moments. When it's not working, I can tell you right now, you never develop any concrete fundamentals. And now it really becomes even more precarious as the games get bigger and the moments, third down, red zones, those moments, those situational moments become even more heightened. And it's really about the players working it out with the quarterback. And Travis Kelce has that chemistry. I tell people he is a football savant.
Yeah.
Because he plays the quarterback position. He runs routes better than any tight end we've ever seen in the history of our game. He understands where the areas are. He knows when to settle. He knows when to keep it up, when to push the route. He knows where the holes are. And he and the quarterback, because they've had time together and they've been consistent at working it out in practice, Andy lets them do it, right? And what happens, you tend to get other guys like, well, I'm going to do what Travis does. No, dude, that ain't who you are.
Yeah.
You go doing any of that, right? So it's so there's some stitching together that needs to be taking place. And I heard Pat say, hey, we got to clean it up. But listen, guys, we're going into week 16 and 17, right?
Yeah.
17. Yep. This ought to be cleaned up. This for the teams that are taking off, they have already left the runway because they're gaining altitude now. That deal is already, that ship has sailed. So that's why it's rather unfortunate and very concerning.
Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020 and the Cincinnati Bengals in 2021, they like figured out the blueprint to really like beat the Chiefs, which was maximize coverage, delay your rush. You know, with those ends that they have in Cincinnati with 91 and 94, they are really pesky, and they have been the peskiest of D ends for Patrick Mahomes in his career. But do you expect and the Raiders just copied that same blueprint last week?
Yeah.
With that being said, do you think Lou Anarumo and that defense in Cincinnati to kind of copy what the Raiders did, and which was their original plan in 2021 in the AFC Championship game this week?
Yeah, I would agree with you. That was an original plan from Lou Anarumo, and I do think a lot of other people have copied that, because the Bengals had won 3 out of 4 games against the Chiefs using that plan, and they had been successful doing that in the AFC North against Lamar Jackson. And so, and you're right. You got to understand that Sam Hubbard is a former high school defensive back from Moeller High School in Cincinnati before he ever got to Ohio State. So he tracks really well. He runs really well. And when you can have that delayed rusher, what you do is you're going to funnel where you want the quarterback to escape and extend, and then you are going to sneak a guy in there late to fill that rush lane, and you almost kind of push the quarterback into a trap. And because Mahomes has been running for his life, I think he's much more susceptible and vulnerable to that. I think the way that he adjusted to it last year as they were going through the playoffs, he was very patient about not pushing the ball down the field, even though they were double covered over the top. But he also knew that he had to get the ball out faster and quicker, so he didn't have to run into those traps. He doesn't have guys who are getting open, by the way, at this time. And he is forced to hold on to the ball a little bit longer so that they can uncover and then try to get the ball in there. But that's forcing him now to run into trouble, hold on to the ball longer, taking more sacks, taking more hits. And that's where the injuries begin to mount. And so I think the concern is ratcheting up a little bit for Mahomes. And I think the coaching point's got to be, let's get back to throwing in rhythm. Let's try to scheme up some guys getting open, and let's get the ball out in a hurry to try to get the offense in rhythm. And let's try to be successful in the run game on early downs, right? And when you can do that, you keep him in 3rd and medium, 3rd, 4, 3rd and 5, and he can convert in those situations. I think you got to kind of move backwards before you move forward, before you can look for the explosive plays, because right now those plays aren't happening.
Solomon, I want to get off of the current times for just a little bit and talk about Super Bowl 23, which you played in for the Cincinnati Bengals against the San Francisco 49ers. It's the first Super Bowl I remember watching as a kid, and just the grand spectacle that it was, and seeing what, Joe Montana did in that close game, and you guys are right there. And just as a young player, I think it was only your, second year in the league at that time, going to the Super Bowl with the Bengals. Yeah. Take us through that, what it was like playing in Joe Robbie Stadium there in Miami. And obviously the Bengals have not been back to a Super Bowl since then. So a sense of pride that has to be for you guys. Obviously came
they win 21.
What a game.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah, yes, they didn't haven't won one since. I haven't won one yet.
They've been back with the same outcomes.
Right, they've been certainly.
Right
we know that too well here.
Yeah, right up to the last minute, So, look, I grew up in Southern California, and I went to high school in Riverside, California, which is where Ronnie Lott, the great 49er, Hall of Fame, one of the greatest defensive backs who I had always looked up to. But he and Kenny Easley were at USC and UCLA when we would all go to those games when we were like in elementary school, middle school. And by the time we got to high school, and I went to the high school in the same area where Ronnie went, and we were fortunate because he came back. And I remember while I was in college, he was already playing for the Niners. I already won a couple of Super Bowls. And I was working at Sid Gilman camp, and all these great coaches who would later become very famous. You may know them by the name of Brian Billick and Sean Payton and John Fox. They were all coaching in college at the time. And I remember being there with them, and I was a camp counselor. And Ronnie Lott, Marcus Allen, those guys came into the camp, and they took me and a high school teammate of mine out to lunch. Now imagine you're a high school kid just going into college, And, these guys are taking time to talk to you about what it's like coming into the NFL. And I just remember just locking in on all that information. It helped me through my college years of development. And next thing you know, I'm walking on the field, and guess who's on the other side? Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott. The Niners, yeah.
So, and I knew he was all business, man. I wasn't going over there to try to talk to him. He was all business. And we knew studying for that team, because Bill Walsh had started his career in Cincinnati. And Sam Weiss was his first offensive coordinator. In fact, Sam used to be one of his quarterbacks that he coached in Cincinnati. And so we knew that offense to a T. We knew that it was all predicated on a physical run game, just like the Niners are today. It's the same offense. It was predicated on a physical run game, real timing and precision, fast off the ball, quick pass game, and you had to tackle in space. Because if you don't tackle them, everything is predicated on creating yards after catch, yards after contact. Now, you got to imagine, we were playing against guys like Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brett Jones, Tom Rathman, and Roger Craig. Those were the 5 eligible. Now, look, I know they got Christian McCaffrey, but you know who was the first guy to catch for 1,000 and rush for 1,000?
Roger Craig.
So they're not playing with anything better than what we were facing in that Super Bowl. So Christian McCaffrey, that's Roger Craig, same guy. Yep. We had Joe Montana. This team's got Deebo Samuel, but all due respect, he ain't Jerry Rice. You see? And I would say Brandon Ayuk is very similar to
Taylor.
John Taylor, absolutely. And then the tight ends are very similar.
Brent Jones.
Brent Jones. I think they're very similar. It was real. And guess what the score was at halftime? 3-3.
Look, they even had Hughes check with Tom Rathman.
That's exactly right. There you go. I mean, they were loaded.
My brother's a 49ers fan, so I know all about those teams.
They were loaded. And man, we held them to 20 points in the game. Our offense didn't score a touchdown. The only touchdown we scored was on a kickoff return by Stanford Jennings. And we came up 40 seconds short.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day. Every time I tell it, I get upset but all I know is go look at all their other Super Bowls. They hung 50 a couple of years later on San Diego with Junior Seau and Rodney Harris. They hung
the next year against Denver too.
That's right. On Denver, they hung 50 on Denver, right?
Yeah.
That was the next year, and then 94.
Yeah. So I know we had a hell of a game. Now we didn't win it. But I'm going to tell you right now, when we walked off the field, they gave us much respect. We gave them much respect. It really was one of the great Super Bowls because it was a hard-hitting game, and it came down to the defense. We had the number 1 ranked offense. We don't score an offensive touchdown. Look, you don't score a touchdown against these Niners teams, you're getting blown out, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that went. But those are the things that I remember most about that game.
And John Candy was in the building.
Oh yeah,
John Candy was in the building.
It's almost
I hear
like
that name, I get pissed off. But sorry, God bless his soul, right?
It's almost like the Chiefs losing to the Raiders when the Aiden O'Connell doesn't complete a pass past the first quarter. It's all these crazy things. Michael, last thing, I'm going to let you get one in before we let Solomon go here.
So Solomon, you know we have to talk about it. You being a former Colorado guy. Yeah. We see what Prime is doing, bringing that attention and energy to that program. Started off with such a high this season, ended with some very low lows. Just what's your thoughts on the program moving forward and what Deion has brought to Colorado so far?
Yeah, those of us who are really close to the program, we did not expect double-digit wins after suffering double-digit losses 1 year ago. You don't turn around a program that quickly. I think people have had a hard time of digesting what they're actually seeing because we've never seen this happen before. We've never, free agency didn't exist in college football before. It had existed for coaches. It hadn't existed for players. You throw in the money that is NIL, which is an operating budget. Okay, some teams have been doing that. They're called SMU. Right, but it wasn't done above, on the table. It wasn't as transparent as it is today. So now with all of those things being done more transparently, Colorado has become the lightning rod or the place that people like, wow, do you see what's happening here? Oh, half the team left. And then you don't know if Deion forced them out or if they left on their own. I'll tell you what, when I was at Colorado, Bill McCartney is the coach I played for. So did Eric Bieniemy. So did, Connor Embry, your wide receiver coach. His dad played on those teams with him.
Charles Johnson.
Connor Embry. Yeah. So, look, Coach Mack told us, I'm running you off. I remember first day of practice, he told, I'm running you off. Now, what he was really saying is those who aren't willing to put in the work, I can't wait to get you out of here. And he had come from the University of Michigan, where up above the sign, Bo Schembechler said, those who stay will be champions. What he didn't say, I'm running you off. And the ones who stay, those are the ones I know really want to be here, because what I'm about to put you through, you're going to have to earn it. And that's the same thing you saw in the Junction Boys, right? With Coach Bear Bryant when he coached at Texas A&M. He worked them until he found out who really wanted it and who didn't. It's always been a part of football, guys. And for whatever reason, people look at Deion like he's some Machiavellian coach. He's just it's about the competitiveness. This is not a situation where everybody gets a trophy. This is not a situation because you got a scholarship, you get to keep it, even though you're not interested in winning games. You're not interested in putting in work and turning around a program. It's hard to go from the bottom of college football to the top. I know what that's like because I was a part of it. It's hard. And a lot of people, I'm telling you, are not cut out for it. And you've got to create a system, just like you would if you went and joined a top law firm or a top Fortune 500 or top 100 company. They're going to give you 90 days to prove you deserve to stay. Okay? And they're going to send some people walking. It's just a matter of what group you're going to be in. That's what we do every year at the end of training camp, right? We don't keep everybody. We start off with 90. We finish with 53. And I think college is a good place to learn that. Now, it should be done judiciously and fairly, but competition is a part of this thing. And if you create a scenario where there isn't competition, I'll show you a team that's going to lose 11 and 12 games, because that's who we were before Deion showed up.
Yeah, and talking about that with Deion Sanders saying you put in the work or you're not right here for Colorado, we had Tim Grunhard, former Chief center, on earlier this week, and he said if Marty was coaching this team, there would have been some players cut already to show we're not putting up with this any longer.
Hey, Marty was my guy now. He and Carl Peterson, every time I came in to call Kansas City Chiefs games, the time I would spend with them, and you're right, man. Marty Schottenheimer, there's my guy, Kevin Harlan.
Oh, what a group. What a duo.
Oh, man, we missed you on CBS, dog. We miss you on there.
I appreciate it. We had great times. We spent great times with the coach. And Marty was a guy that knew how football should be played. And you had to be a tough, hard-nosed guy now to stick around. And you were going to win games, and the other team was going to respect you. But look, I'm a big admirer of Andy Reid. He is a genius at what he does. And I think he's the only guy to be the all-time winningest coach with 2 franchises. So you're in a period of prosperity, and I know this is not a grand Christmas for you guys, considering how the game turned out. But he'll get you back in the winning circle.
Solomon, it was a grand Christmas because we got to spend some time with you, man. Cannot thank you enough for this. It was tremendous. We'll see you coming up here in Vegas at Radio Row. We'll have to grab you. Bring your composure, because by then I may need 2 or 3 bottles from where we're heading right now, buddy. Thank you so much.
I'll bring some for everyone. Okay. Thanks for having me, guys.
We got to do this again. You're a blast and great stuff, man.
All right. All the best.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
It's an honor.
That was Solomon Wilcots, the former CBS color broadcaster, man, former Cincinnati Bengal, participant in Super Bowl 23. The first Super Bowl I remember watching as a very young kid and just being enamored by the grandiose nature of what a Super Bowl is. As Chiefs fans, we've learned a lot about that here the last couple of years, but I almost wore my gecko tank top and sunglasses today because I think it's about time here in 2023 that we say 1, 2, 3 Cancun, because the Black Christmas that I foresaw, that I foretold last week, came upon us. It came upon us like a plague, and it came down upon Kansas City, rearing its ugly head in ways that we haven't seen. The Max Crosby and that aggressive Raiders defense, they beat the Chiefs for the first time since 2020. And that, my friends, is that. I said this would put the ribbon on what's been this unbelievable season, this season that's from hell. And it looks like that was probably the death knell. Noah, we're ready to say 1, 2, 3 Cancun. I know I am. I just got to put my tank top on. Wanted to dress up a little bit for Solomon Wilcots and for Harvey Williams coming up here. We're going to give Harvey his props and a big Raider victory. Raider Nation, get in here, DDT. Where are you at, my friend?
You need to chill.
DDT.
Get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of yourself, Clint. What is wrong with you?
Sorry,
the Raiders did not beat the Chiefs. That did not happen. I didn't see that. The Chiefs beat the Chiefs.
Well, that's what you've been saying for 15 weeks. So yes, that seems to be a theme.
It's the same thing, man. And fellas, I don't know where we stand right now. I don't know what this offense is. They don't know what the offense is.
Yeah.
How do you run a screen to Kelsey on the right side and then run the same play on the left side in the fourth quarter, bro? What are you doing? They're already keying on those. They keyed on. That's how we got the pick six, doing one of those short screens or 5-and-outs to Watson.
Got nothing else.
Everybody looks discombobulated. Nobody knows what they're doing. It seems like guys are hurt on the field. Like Pacheco, it looks like he was playing hurt a little bit. They look lethargic. They haven't looked like this since 2012.
Wow. I was going to say 2017.
Yeah. I was going to say second half of the Bengals 2021.
It looks tough. You know, it's hard to figure out what's going on. It's the coaching has been terrible, especially on the offensive end. Like defense, we could kind of give them a pass. They've been playing some great football. What they did against Aiden was a big time job. It's just they allowed some big runs, but it's just the offense. When the offense gives you nothing, the defense is not made for the offense to give.
You wanted a defensive football team. You got them.
Yeah, but nobody
defense.
ever expected them to be like. It's kind of like the Colts defense with Manning. It was like we expect to play with a lead so that our DBs can look good and our pass rushers can rush. But for you guys to give up, you can't do it. Shout out to John Harrison.
Well, I've already done it. So
because
I'm in Cancun.
John took my team that I wanted to bring up, but the 1988 49ers,
Cancun.
They went into the playoffs 10-6, and you know, I'm pretty sure everybody wasn't talking about them being a hot team and being a Super Bowl team, but they had
they mentioned a lost, broken team.
Well, we're going to get into that with our next guest. It's a Black Christmas, and another than he's wearing black right there. Harvey Williams is back. Raider Nation, get in here. Where's DDT? We got Harvey Williams, and the Raiders, hungry and able and willing, have ruined Christmas here in Kansas City. Harvey,
thanks, Harvey.
Sir?
What's up, man? Clint, hey, bro, stop with all that, man. Black is my color, man. I just got through working out, so it ain't got nothing to do with what team.
Okay. I was just going with it.
I'm saying you trying to get me killed, man. So stop that.
We've all lost our minds here, so we're practically incoherent at this point. So
I bet
it's all good.
Hey, Harvey. You remember the radio station KPRS 103 from back in the early '90s, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, well, one of our friends is the morning personality here. He's Brian B. Shinen. He wasn't on 5 weeks ago when you were on as a guest because he was going out of town with his lovely wife. I'm going to let Brian kick it off with you to start. So go ahead, Brian. Hey, Brian, this is Harvey Williams, buddy.
Oh, man, Harvey, pleasure to meet you, bro. Thank you for your time with the Chiefs, but I don't thank you for wearing that 22 with the Raiders back in the day.
How you doing, man?
But I asked Solomon Wilcots about the defensive game plan that the Raiders had, and it was masterful. Like it was a copy of what the Bengals did in 2021, which is playing cover. Let Mahomes run around, only rush 3 to 4 guys. They were very confident in their ends. Of course, Max Crosby and the other guy, 51, getting to Mahomes. But like in-game adjustments, like when you clearly see on almost every play, they're not rushing more than 3 or 4 guys. why not develop something to run the ball more? And I know Solomon Wilcots talked about a commitment to the run game, but like it just seems like an easy fix that the coaching staff just doesn't want to do.
I mean, you got to understand that the money man is Mahomes, man. I mean, like, you know, I mean, it's easy to say that you can run the ball with you know, rushing 3 people, but Mahomes throws the ball. The problem with Kansas City is what I'm seeing is receivers cannot, you know, get out their breaks and they're not making the DBs turn and run. I mean, when you got cornerbacks that are sitting, you know, backpedaling the whole time, man, I don't care if it's Mahomes or Marino or anybody, man, it's going to be hard to throw the ball against that. And then you have a guy that's a magic man like Mahomes that can deal cards. He's like a point guard. And I'll tell you guys a little story. When I was in high school, they had a little white guy here from Waller, Texas. He was a freshman, and it was a basketball player. It was a point guard. His freshman, he started on varsity. And after his, you know, they went to state, won state, and he was doing his thing. And then when his teammates, you know, some of the guys that he had on the team left and went to college, when his class caught up with him, he was, you know, it was so much pressure on him, he couldn't do what he does. I mean, you know, with the guys from Kansas City dropping the ball and instead of Mahomes just, you know, dropping back and reading coverages, he's worried about, can he trust the guy from the ball? Is he going to pass this DB? And that's the problem what's going on with Kansas City right now. And the Raiders already knew that. And I'm going to tell you guys a little, you know, I got a little inside. Pierce is going to get that job because one of the stipulations was if Pierce can beat Kansas City, he's going to get that job next year. And if they make a playoff,
breaking.
He's going. So that's
heard it here first.
Yeah, he's going. You know, so when they coming into that game, you know, the Raiders are going to have some sauce and some juice and that energy, man. That, you know, they want that guy to be head coach next year. So that's why they came out and looked like they did yesterday.
Wow, interesting.
Harvey, just how frustrating can it be for, you know, not only a quarterback, of course, because you need time, but for a running back when it seems like every time you touch the ball, a defender or two is in the backfield and you can't really get any flow going? Because I think we saw that with this game early on. They tried to run the ball, but Pacheco had nothing because it was defenders in the backfield. So with you know, being a former back, how frustrating can that be?
It gets frustrating, man. But you know, at the end of the day, you need to know how to make adjustments. I mean, I've realized that since I've, you know, retired. When you got every gap is covered, you need to start running misdirection, counter plays, different things, misdirection. You know, in the backfield, get the linebackers running one way and trap them and come back the other way. And you know, at the end of the day, Kansas City needs to do something with their offensive line. I mean, I know the wide receiver guys are the problem, but up front, man, they were getting their ass like they were getting like they stole something, man. And I'm a Mahomes fan. You know, the greatest quarterback of all time is going to be Brady, and then Mahomes is right there with him. I mean, he probably won't win, you know, 6 or 7 championships, but Mahomes is probably the greatest quarterback that we'll probably ever see in this century, man. And it's a shame to see him, you know, on the sidelines. I thought I was looking at a little league football game yesterday when he was, you know, people throwing their helmets and he's going crazy. He's passionate about what he's doing, but he's going to need some help if they're going to try to make it far in the playoffs, and I don't see that happen.
You know, Harvey, when you see Patrick Mahomes getting mad and throwing his helmet 2 weeks ago, and you see Travis Kelce throwing his helmet last night, do you feel like it's a coaching problem that is getting out of hand? Do you think that, I mean, these Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, those are the face of the Kansas City Chiefs during this period. Do you feel it's a coaching problem that this team is kind of losing its overall focus? That they're
I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of both, because you're gonna have to hold everybody accountable. I mean, for Kelce to be screaming at anybody and saying anything, I mean, he's a superstar, bro. And some of the passes that he's dropping. Those type of passes. So I mean, you can scream and jump, and if you're not doing your job, man, you know, back when I was playing, but if you wasn't doing your job and you came and you got in my face, that was gonna be a problem. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's a little bit of both. But those guys, I mean, they have a great team, but they're gonna have to have a team meeting, a coming to Jesus meeting, and you know, this next couple of weeks is gonna be very important for Kansas City. So if they keep doing what they're doing, they're gonna get their ass kicked again. The National Football League is a copycat league. So whoever they got next is sitting there and they watching film right now what the Raiders did and they're gonna copycat that until Kansas City changes, unless they go back and restructure and get a Tyreek back, to get the
please
off the defense. But that's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale movie. That script in the movie. So they have to do something different, man. The wide receivers gonna have to get these guys out their back pedal and do something different and run the football.
Yep.
So we need to revamp the wide receivers because we traded Tyreek Hill and we haven't hit on draft picks other than Rashee Rice looks nice. And now everyone's telling me that I need an offensive line, Harvey. And I was told that we spent $80 million on Joe Tooney, so we fixed it there. We spent $80 million on Jawan Taylor, fixed it there. We took a second-round pick and Creed Humphrey's best center in the NFL. Took a sixth-round pick flyer on Trey Smith. He's a really good guard. We got the best interior. Now we got an $80 million right tackle. Now I got to fix the offensive line again. Is that what I'm hearing?
So let me ask you this. So I'm gonna be general manager. So whose fault would it be if I go and spend that amount of cheese, Lajon on an offensive line and bring that much money here? Is it on the coaches or it's on the players? Because if I'm making as an offensive lineman, if I'm making $7-8 million, $10 million a year, I'm gonna look to my left and to my right and say, hey man, we gotta get this. We gotta get this done, bro. This dude back here is a generational quarterback, and he getting the shit beat out of him. And we need to, we need to be accountable. We need to stand up. That meeting should be taking place about right now. And they need to make some changes, man, because I know y'all all Kansas City fans. I'm a Kansas City fan. If Kansas City's not going to the Super Bowl, I want the Raiders to go to the Super Bowl. So that's what they're gonna have to do to try to change this thing around, man. And it just, it was just sad yesterday to see, those guys, the way they were acting on the sidelines, all the drop passes. I know that's been going on all year. But they're going to need to make some changes here in the next couple of weeks.
Harvey, what's going on in that locker room?
Oh right man, now? They saw
Chiefs locker room.
It's bad. It's really bad. They probably got boxing gloves in there. People getting cussed out. The way Mahomes is acting on the sidelines with the TVs, with the cameras on. Can you imagine what it's like at practice or in that locker room right now, man? He's passionate. Like I said, he's a superstar. He's looking bad. It's not a good look for Kansas City, and hopefully they can change this and turn this thing around now.
Harvey, we've talked about it before, with Solomon Wilcots right before you came on, about how this would look maybe different with Marty Schottenheimer, that the discombobulated nature of this offense, with trouble getting plays in, with timing being off on every single play, with the inability to make adjustments, that there seems to be a lack of attention to detail. You played with Marty Schottenheimer, how focused he was on every single aspect of the game, and just what you're seeing from this offense. And every single aspect seems to be, if it's not penalties, it's drops. If it's not drops, it's Mahomes not on the same page with the receiver. If it's not that, it's Travis Kelce, your superstar. Like you said, ball in his hands, can't catch it. Is it a coaching issue here? Like,
I'm gonna say it again, Clint. It's about doing your job, man. That guy that's in front of you need to whoop his ass. That guy, that's holding you one-on-one at wide receivers. The linebackers, the running backs need to make the linebackers miss. It's a combination of everything. And I'm gonna say it again. I know a lot of people don't like Eric Bieniemy, but I came out at the same time Eric Bieniemy came. We came out at the same time. And I was at a couple of All-Star games when that guy's gonna hold you accountable. And I think they don't have that right now.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to, pull out the paddle. When you was a little kid and you got to go to the principal's office and get your ass whooped. That's what have to happen right now. Because for this guy not to make the playoffs or one and done, Mahomes, we're wasting time, man. That dude is the real deal, man. And just to see him that frustrated. He's a quarterback. He should throw the ball. He shouldn't be worrying about, can he trust this guy? He's going to catch the ball, or can this guy beat this cornerback or the safety over the top? And that goes across the board. And defense is excellent. Defense is playing their ass off. And at the end of the day, you got to score some points.
Hey, Harvey, how much of this could we look at coming into the season? We heard Andy Reid talking about having receivers by committee, and we saw him playing 6, 7 guys at receiver, instead of just choosing like, these are our 3 guys that are going to play most of the snaps. Then we may have this gadget guy that's going to do that stuff. Do you think that has come back to hurt the Chiefs this season, not honing in on saying these are our guys and we're going to work with them?
I agree exactly what you're saying. Everybody needs to get a rhythm. If you got your starting 5, man, if that's what you're rocking with, that's what you need to go and keep them guys out there, because it's about a rhythm. If I'm not catching the ball and I'm sitting on the sidelines for a quarter and a half, I'm going in every other situation or what we need to do, or you got me playing special teams and I'm not playing offense, you're going to drop the football, man, because you can't get a rhythm. You can't read the defense. You can't read the guy that's in front of you, what he's trying to do, what he don't want you to do. It's a combination of everything. So like I'm saying right now, guys, those guys going to have to sit down and have a meeting and come to Jesus and try to figure it out. If not, they're going to be sitting at home like I'm doing right now, watching you guys, looking at you guys.
Hey, Harvey, let's talk about it from a Raiders perspective really quick because we're talking about the Chiefs. But Zamir White reminded me of you. He reminded me of you when you had to back up Barry Word and Christian Okoye. Zamir White has to play behind Brandon Jacobs. And with the game on the line, the Raiders quarterback hadn't completed a pass since the first quarter. There's 2 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game. The Chiefs are down 6. They got 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. What do you think and feel was going through Zamir White's his mindset as he finished off that game the way he did? What did you think about that, Harvey?
I'm the man right now, and I know everybody is watching this Christmas, and this is my opportunity and my chance, and he made the most of it, man. I saw this kid last year, and he's a whole lot faster than what you guys think. He's like a 4.3, 4.4 guy. I saw him last year at training camp, and he can get it done, man, and he can go. So yeah, it's my time to shine, and he did a hell of a job by showing America that he can go in there and close the deal.
Harvey, coin flip, man. You got a chance to get drafted in 2024. What team you want to go to, Vegas or Kansas City?
Y'all killing me. Whoever got the first pick. Whoever got the first pick, man. If it's the 10th pick or the 20th pick, if Raiders got a pick before Kansas City or Kansas City got the pick before the Raiders, if I could do it all over again, man, I'd go back to Kansas City and given a true opportunity to show what I was capable of doing. And like I said, my time at the Raiders was beautiful because Al Davis gave me a second chance and say, hey man, go out here and do what you need to do and show everybody that you can actually play. So I'm in love with Kansas City. I'm in love with the Raiders, and I'm a LSU Tiger. If you cut me open, I got a little red and gold, silver and black. So I'm a true fan of the game. And, I'm a Mahomes fan, man. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I want those cats. If the Raiders can't make it to the playoffs, I got my red and gold on right now. I don't know if y'all can see behind my thing right here.
You bet.
So,
Yeah.
Is that the 95 game?
Well,
that's me jumping over the top. But like I said, I'm a Chief fan and a Raider fan.
Harvey, I know exactly that was September 17th, 1995. That was actually Patrick Mahomes' birthday. Mahomes' birthday. And
old,
Harvey, I'll never forget that play. You drove over the top and you gave us the Neil Smith, and I mean the crowd at Arrowhead. And were you on the field when Hal Stetler threw the pick six to James Hasty?
No, I was on the sidelines.
Okay.
We were driving down to go score, and I don't know if you remember the referee jumped in front of Tim Brown. Tim Brown, and man, it looked like when he caught the ball, literally, it looked like everybody had diarrhea and was throwing up on the sidelines because we thought we was gonna go down there and win the game, and that just that unfortunate thing happened. But it was a good game. It was a great game. It was one of my best games I played against Kansas City.
Yeah,
and I have something to prove too. So yeah,
I also remember Jerry Ball stuffing Marcus Allen on a goal to go situation, which never happened. Marcus Allen, the most short yardage back in history, and he got stuffed by Jerry Ball in the middle. That guy was a beast. That guy was large.
I just saw Marcus not too long ago at the beginning of the season because every year, the Raiders put on a thing, and like I said, when Marcus came to Kansas City, we were friends, and then when I left and went to the Raiders, we had that rivalry, and we still have that rivalry. I almost got into a fist fight at the beginning of football season because we both talking smack to each other.
Well, we got a fan question here first before I give you my question. Does it matter what team drafts you, or is it all about the money and placing where you get drafted?
If I'm going to be a first rounder, I want to be a first rounder opposed to a seventh rounder. Man. At the end of the day, it's about the cheese, man. It's about taking care of your family. So, love of the football, if you're good enough to be a first or second or third rounder, or if you don't get drafted, you still have an opportunity to go make the team. And that's what I love about football, man. It's all about the grind, man. If I don't get drafted, can I still go and make a football team? To me, that's the beautiful thing about this sport. And if I'm a first round, I still got to go out there and prove things. And if I don't, they're going to call me a bust. And this is a lot of, things that factors into that, man. So, yeah, if I had to decide, what you just said, I'm taking the money all day long.
That's fair. I think I'd do the same. But Harvey, my question to you is, do you think this Raiders-Chiefs rivalry is back now with Antonio Pierce? Like you said, like you told us, he's probably going to be the head coach at the end of this season moving forward. Do you think the rivalry's back? And do you have a crystal ball? Do you think the Chiefs get back to the old Chiefs, what they were before this horrid season?
I think so, man. I mean, Pierce is a hard-nosed guy. I met him a couple of times, and he's a no-nonsense guy. But, I would love to play for him. And he's relaxed, and the kids gonna go out there and play for him, man. And he let them be who they are. And I think by if at the beginning of the game, I don't know if you guys saw that juice and that energy that the Raiders were playing at the beginning of the game. And the thing is, we'd rather you be the head coach and then they come and bring some other guy that comes in here that we don't know who he is and might be the same thing as with McDaniels or whoever that they bring in here. So if this is going to be our guy, let's go out there and fight for him and die for him. So I think it's a good chance that he will be the head coach next year. And if they go, that's the word on the streets. I'm just telling y'all what it is. It looks like it's a good chance he's going to be head coach next year just because of the win against Kansas City.
You better than Adam Schefter.
Harvey, we had JJ Burton on here over the summer, and I asked him about who was his mentor in Kansas City. And like I said, I've also asked Christian Okoye a couple weeks ago about mentoring you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a chance to take how you were mentored coming into the league from Christian Okoye and take that into Napoleon Kaufman? How did that work?
Yeah, man. I when I got to Kansas City, it was Christian and Barry and Todd McNair. Man, them guys took me under their wings, and I had a great time. They like my big brothers. And I don't know if you guys remember Bill Jones. We had he could play, and those guys took me and showed me the ropes, and then showed me how to actually do it. And then when Marcus got there, it was a totally different thing. And I took both of those dynamics. And when I went to the Raiders, they had a lot of young running backs coming in, and I like helping young guys and showing them the rope, especially with Napoleon. That's why Napoleon was so successful. Hey man, you're a first round draft choice, get it done, and just giving him a whole lot of confidence. That's why Napoleon was the way that he was, because he had a room of running backs that was backing him, and vice versa. He used to cheer for me in the whole nine. It wasn't a whole lot of tension, and I hope you get hurt or fumble the ball like most guys that's assholes do. So no, so it wasn't like that. So yeah, I take the approach of trying to help young guys,
young Chiefs fans who were born in the 90s. Go look up Napoleon Kaufman and how he used to. He used to whoop our ass. That Monday night game in '96, I think he had a big game.
Yeah, quick, bro. Like his acceleration is probably equivalent to I've seen fast guys, James Jett, James Trapp. They have gold medals around their neck, but when it's just pure acceleration, I don't think it's anybody I've ever been around. Be it because I ran track at LSU, and the only two guys I think could accelerate with Napoleon was a guy named Alexander Wright. And Rocket Ismail could accelerate. Incredible.
James Jett?
Yeah. I mean, no, for the first 20 yards or 30 yards, he'd be in front of Jett, but after that, Jett would kick on them afterburners, man. And that dude was like I don't think the only person I think probably could catch Jett would probably be Deion Sanders. And I think he'd make Deion, blow a head gasket.
What about Darryl Green?
Man, that's a whole I don't think Darryl Green could run with them cats, man. I don't think he can run with Trapp and Jett. You're talking about guys that got gold medals. I mean, Green could fly, but Bullet Bob Hayes is the type of speed with James Jett and James Trapp, them type of guys. And Willie Gault. That's a whole different level of speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Harvey, we can't thank you enough for hopping on with us here on Arrowhead Allies. We got to do it again.
Appreciate you.
I guess we'll Be seeing the Raiders a couple times next year. And you know what? It's not over. Chiefs lose out. Raiders win out. The Raiders win the AFC West and go to the playoffs.
hell
So
no.
we don't know.
Won't happen.
We don't know.
Hey, stop hating.
Harvey, we thank you so much, my friend. It was great.
Love you, Harvey. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Man, hey, love the
Thank you,
show,
man.
guys. And anytime you want me to do it, I got my sidekick right
Merry
there. So,
Christmas.
you know,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Merry Christmas, guys, and a Happy New Year, man. I appreciate it.
Happy
Whatever
New Year.
y'all need, let me know.
Will
Yep.
do.
All right, Happy New
Thank
Year.
you.
Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
cheers.
Well, there you have it.
fellas,
So cool.
Loaded show.
I think Clint, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
we need an intervention. We need it now. I think Clint is before our very eyes turning into a Raiders fan. What the hell what is wrong with you?
Something
He
about
might be a
seeing
Raiders
Max
fan
Crosby
all
all
the
tatted
time.
up and the silver and black, and like they wore the
Smoking
uniforms from the old
cigars.
AFL days, and something about it's taking its control. And George Atkinson's our good friend. Something about it's taking a hold on me. I
No,
still up and coming.
I just-
Kind of like Antonio Pierce. Oh
The
my
autumn
God.
wind was
They
a
got
rage.
receivers. They got Devontae Adams. I don't really like Aiden O'Connell much. I wouldn't want to go there,
Well,
but
he
it
doesn't
think
need to
that
grow
looks
anymore.
weird.
Yeah, I just think that, as Chiefs fans, like we're so spoiled at this point that a Chiefs L is like 2 to another team. They have to lose 2 straight games. But when the Chiefs
No
lose,
dynasty, that's over. But we got 2 Super Bowls. Everyone calm down. Remember, we used to suck.
no, but the
Calm
season isn't over. Like this is
It's over.
a long.
Did you watch
this
the
a long
game?
season.
I don't know.
No,
There was a
you
game on
watch-
Monday on Christmas. You might have missed it, Michael. There was a
But
game.
why do you
Sometimes
think they're
I'll
going to
be
play
saying-
the same next week, though?
They played the same way all season.
Not
You
really.
know-
This was a
Hey.
different loss.
Really?
They didn't play this way against the Patriots.
No.
Patriots and Bears. Yeah, we look. Yay.
I'm
If
just
we- if-
no. My thing it was that was the previous week. Then the next week
Yeah.
they play like this against the Raiders. So next week we don't know what team we're gonna get against the Bengals.
The
Exactly.
Bengals.
That's how I'm looking at
Bengals
it.
have more than like 3 wins. So if we play
This
the
is-
Patriots again
this-
next week,
this-
maybe the Panthers. But no, it's the Bengals.
I said 2 weeks ago, we're not used to the Chiefs playing this bad in December. And all they needed was a perfect week, a game against the Raiders. I said it last week, this week, to feel better about ourselves, but it keeps getting worse. And we've just played 15 games. I mean, 4 years ago, that was nearly the entire season. The best
Before
thing
the
the Chiefs
season, the Chiefs were 28-5 after the bye week. This year,
Yep.
2-4 with
2
2
and 4.
games left to go.
So-
Could be 2-6.
and you are only as good as what you've just played. And if we're going to go by what we just played, the Chiefs are in trouble. It feels like 1996, where they lost their last
2017.
2 games and missed the playoffs. So it's something that we have to look into. And if people question it, I know as a fan, we all want us to win out and win another Super Bowl. But Brian, it's not good.
It's not.
yeah.
It's not. Look, and I'm a man of my word, and I am a man of where I stood. And I was wrong on a bunch of things. The wide receiver core this year, I thought we would be fine. I thought it would everybody could eat. But Sky Moore, I predicted 1,000 yards for him total. He ain't sniffing that. But this with that, yeah, thank you. But with that being said, that's a great graphic. With that being said, fellas, nobody knows who's going to win a Super Bowl. Nobody knows.
True. I mean, yes.
We don't know we don't know what the Niners.
I know who's
do
not.
now.
Yeah.
Look, we don't know if Buffalo is gonna go do it. We don't know. Everybody look at Joe Flacco and the damn Browns.
You're right. It could be the Browns. It could be a lot of teams, not the Chiefs, but there's a lot of teams. You're right.
My point is, it's a weird NFL season, and anything can happen.
Not that
And I think that's what's so frustrating about the Chiefs right now is that
Trade Mahomes.
you don't know what to expect. Like next week, the Chiefs can come out and score 30 points and dominate the Bengals, and we're going to be like, what is this performance? You guys been hiding this the last few weeks, or they can come out and give you another dud, and we're just not used to that as Chiefs fans, because we're going to score at least 24 plus points a game. If our defense can play, the Chiefs can beat anybody. But now we're not sure what the hell we're getting. We don't know what to expect week in and week out. That's why it's so frustrating, because you come in the season, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid at coach, you expect to see greatness, especially on the offensive end. And for them not to figure it out yet is very frustrating. And I don't know what to expect this week against the Bengals. Do they win? Do they lose? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. And DDT, welcome in. I've been calling for you this whole time. Where were you earlier, buddy?
No
Where were you earlier? We were talking.
Welcome him in here.
I'm welcoming.
Yeah, DDT just said that because he's a fan. He didn't expect the Raiders. So many Raider fans that I know hit me up because they did not expect the Raiders to win. They were just like, they woke up. They didn't even watch the game. They woke up like, I couldn't believe we were up 17-7. So DDT, go back into hiding.
Well, the Chiefs are obviously beating themselves because Aiden O'Connell didn't complete a pass in the second, third, and fourth quarter. That shows until the Chiefs show that they can not beat themselves, then they might be able to be in a game. But right now, their biggest opponent is themselves, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does, which is kind of just in time as we kind of get into our predictions for Cincinnati and just setting the scene for this. Obviously, the Bengals had won 3 straight. Solomon Wilcots had talked about that. And I thought was a legitimate lock for the playoffs until they're lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which really muddies the waters for them. They still got to play the Browns after the Chiefs. I don't think they're getting in now. Jamar Chase is injured. I think we kind of saw the end of Cincinnati last weuk as the Steelers, who were reeling, were able to really dominate that game with our friend George Pickens. Hated to bring it up, had to do it. But like we said, we don't know what to expect from the Chiefs. This is at home. The Chiefs have lost 4 games at home so far this season, which is unfathomable. And I like the Bengals here. New Year's Eve, 3:25 kickoff here, another holiday, Arrowhead Stadium. People going to be going in excited. Let's go New Year's Eve. And the Bengals are just going to shut the door like they always seem to do. Aside from last year's AFC Championship, the Bengals win this game 23-13.
You are disgusting.
Go ahead, Brian.
You should be
been through a lot.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I've been through a lot.
Golly, you up here jeffing with DDT. You up here
guy
to the Bengals. Oh God, we need some order, man. 19-17 Chiefs win. I'm gonna be in the building. Me, my wife, my mother-in-law. We're all going.
Oh no, you're outnumbered.
I am, but I'll be all right. I got Chiefs Kingdom with me, baby. Chiefs get the dub, baby. Come on.
Ooh.
Michael, save us.
The Chiefs are going to win the final week. They're going to be in LA.
Okay.
You know, they're going to take care. I'm going to be in the building here. But this game versus the Bengals, after seeing that Steelers loss, I just think the Bengals, they lost all their powers. Jake Browning lost all his powers. The Chiefs win 23-20. It's going to be a close game. But I'm me saying this, I'm like, watch the Chiefs come out and give us a crazy, great performance and shut us up. But 23-20 Chiefs find a way to win late.
I'll go here before you go, Shane, and give us your full synopsis of crazy, wild events that will happen, penalties and turnovers and helmets thrown on sidelines during third quarters that show this team is cracked. But I will go. Michael, you said the Bengals have lost their powers. Unfortunately, the Chiefs have not lost theirs, and theirs only do harm to them. 20-10, Bengals victory.
Who day?
Y'all are such prisoners of the moment.
I know, they're crazy.
Well,
yeah, it was so crazy last week that I picked the Raiders and they came down and laid upon thee a plague not seen since Job in the Bible, you all sun guns.
Yikes.
The Chiefs, this is the first time in Patrick Mahomes' era ever that the Chiefs have played with no discipline, no focus, no accountability, no direction. Like I said to Harvey Williams, you got your 2-star stud players throwing their helmets in the last 2 weeks. They're not in a good place going into next Sunday's game. And Aiden O'Connell proved that you don't even need to complete a pass in the second, third, or fourth quarter to win because the Chiefs are going to beat themselves. I think the Chiefs lose this Sunday to themselves 20-9.
Tough loss to ourselves once again, but yes, sounds about right.
Chiefs 20, Chiefs 9. Devastating.
Cincinnati 9. Cincinnati 20-9. It's just how we're trending, Brian. Until we get some new coaches and new offensive coordinator, new wide receiver coach, new quarterback coach, a plethora of drafted wide receivers. It's just how it looks. I love your optimism, Brian. You kick ass You bring it and you're real. You're not bull crapping.
Right.
And, that's just where we're at right now.
They said it couldn't be done.
Wow.
Aiden O'Connell proved them wrong.
I understand. We
Yeah.
shall see, though.
It's-
I
Hey, man,
believe in a
it's-
new year, a new day for these Chiefs.
Hey, great
Yeah, it's
show with
ugly right
Solomon
now.
Wilcots. Great show with
Wilcots
Solomon
in New Year,
Wilcots and Harvey Williams, man. This has been an awesome show. Are we going through a dark period right now with the Chiefs in their current state? Yes, but Arrowhead Allies will keep it real here. Thank you, Solomon Wilcots. Thank you, Harvey Williams. We will be here next Tuesday to break it down. And until then, what do you say, Michael?
Hey, be on the lookout. I think the Chiefs going to surprise us this week.
Noah and I are on the way to Dallas, Texas tomorrow. Mizzou Cotton Bowl on
MIZ.
Saturday night,
Ooh,
here, Friday night,
ooh.
and then we'll see you guys
Yeah.
on Saturday.
Hey, San Diego for me tomorrow. Let's see what USC, the leftovers, are
Yes,
going to be playing. So let's see what
bowl
they look
season,
like.
baby.
Yeah.
Go Chiefs!
DDT, DDT, DDT.